Hello, this is Angela from Warped Weft with another of my journal flip throughs. This journal here, tape measure up the right way, is 8 3/4 inches or 20, just over nearly 22.5 centimeters long by 7 1/4 inches, which is 18.5 centimeters, and the spine is 2.5 inches, which is almost 6.5 centimeters wide. She's made of bookboard and she's covered with hand-dyed paper. The spine is reinforced with fabric tape. I use a heavy-duty sports tape underneath to keep it all together. And as you know, try and undo that and it's almost impossible. So it makes a really good reinforced edges to the spine. And then I've covered it in paper, and then I have put another piece of paper, it's a cardboard, pearlized cardboard, over the spine. And then I have some machine-made lace here. This is rayon. She's done up with a piece of burgundy ribbon, and it's just a loose wrap and tuck arrangement. She doesn't have a tassel, and the back is made of the same paper as the front. When you open her up, she's got a hidden spine, as do all of my journals. I've used a digital print here from Pixabay. This is another digital print, link below. Another Pixabay picture, and so is this from Pixabay too. Some of the images from Pixabay I have played around with the colouring on to make them match the journal theme. This little flower here is made from scraps of paper from a pad of paper that I had. I've then made a little card that goes in there. This is vintage advertising, and I've just mounted it onto some brown cardstock and add a little piece of rayon lace there. This is a vintage image. It lifts up so that there is some writing space underneath, and then the closure is just a little die-cut ginkgo leaf. On this page I have a variety of things. This is a boiled book page, and it's using roses, it looks like, from my garden, roses and rosemary, I would say, given the colours. And there's just a little piece of a very small doily there, and I've turned that into a pocket. And then I have some cards here. These are digital prints from Astrid, and then I've made a little card as well. This was a vintage birthday card, and it does open out, and then it closes up again with this little rose here, and this page does open out, so you have more writing space here. That's just layered writing paper, boiled paper, and then there's this, I think it's pastel paper, is here with a little bit of cut out face, and that's a Martha Stewart edge punch there. These are pages from a pad of paper that I had. This is a vintage digital print, and I've made a little tuck folder, fold out folder, and there's some paper, copy dyed paper inside there. Just tucks back in there. This is a little booklet, again another vintage image, and it has some paper inside. I've just turned it into a little booklet, and I've put a little heart using the threads that hold it together. Just tucks in there. This was an envelope that I made, a fold-up envelope that I made, and this actually is more boiled book paper. And then I've used a rayon lace piece on that, and then I've made a little journal card here that tucks into this pocket here. This paper was from a pack of interesting papers that I was given some years ago. Again, another layered page, and this was made from, this is some copper embossed paper, and then this was just a paper out of a 12 by 12 pad. I've made some cards from it, another swing tag. This swing tag, this part of the swing tag has got a tuck there, and then there's just a little tag that goes with that. They slip in that pocket there, and then there's a pocket behind with some coffee dyed paper. This is copy paper, tinted, and it has a little image that I printed on the bottom. This is a stencil. I'll put the links to the stencil company that I bought this from. It's a local company. I bought it from eBay, but when it arrived, it came from an address that is within 5 kilometers of my house. So they are really local to me, and they do some nice Australian designs as well as the normal generic designs. They've got a number of these gum leaf, gum nut stencils, and you can get them from small stencils, I suppose about this size, to an A5 one, and then you can get a much bigger one as well. This is the smallest size. It's just perfect for these little books. Then I've used a paper bag here, and I've adhered a doily to it, and that doily is actually a little pocket. There's a vintage image there. Inside the paper bag, there is a vintage image mounted onto some cardboard, and some paper, coffee dyed paper on the back. Coffee dyed paper here. I think this folds out. Let me have a look. Yes, it does. So it's double that size, with just a little stamp in the corner, and then there's a card that has been made of scraps. It's got a double-sided decorated paper clip on it, and those just sit into there, and then you've got a pocket that opens up here with some writing space here. Sorry, a fold out, not a pocket. Here is a pocket. So this was a 12 by 12 paper, and I've used the poppy part here, and then this was part of that same page, and I used some of the paper to create this. Inside the pocket, I've got a booklet with some paper inside. It just sits there in the pocket. And the back is plain. The other side of the paper bag, I've created an up pocket, and then this opens out. You can write inside this tag, and this is just a plain tag. Inside the pocket, there's more bits and pieces to write on. So I've got a little tag here that's made of coffee dyed paper. It opens out again, but it's got a little pocket on the front and a little tag that's more of the onion skin dyed paper. And then there's a digital, oh, it's not a digital print, I've digitally printed it, but it is a vintage image. That's a little piece of organza ribbon. The other side of the copy paper, again, a doily pocket. And here I've got a little booklet with some pages in. These pages actually are held in place with the ribbon, so you can actually slide more pages in there, or you could put a little keepsake in there as well. And then that's just another vintage image on the front. Here I've used an old book page. You can actually see the book that I got it from. It was Inners of My Soul. Excellent read. I got it secondhand, couldn't put it down, but having read it, I'm not one to go back and read books a second time, and the pages had yellowed, so I have used those pages in my journals. But if you want a really good read, Inners of My Soul, it is a novelized historical fiction, but it takes place around the time of the settlement of South America, various countries in South America, and there is a lot of historical fact in it. Innes actually did exist. Now open up this little piece of paper here, and it just closes with the little heart, and there's a pocket there with some more coffee dyed paper that's been stapled into a little booklet. The paper came from, this paper, dark paper, came from a set of papers I had. This is some embroidered rayon lace, and then there's a little matching tag there, similar to the one that was further forward in this signature. And again, this is more of my boiled book paper, and so is this. That just opens out like that. The other side of this, the signature of this paper, this I designed myself from Vintage Images. Another one of Astrid's papers, digitally printed. I got this image from Pixabay that's on the back, and I fade them out. I've got a few of them. I fade them out and I use them so that on the back of things that I know are going to be cards and that can be written on. This is a strip from a box that my daughter was about to throw out. I think it had some perfumed sticks in it that you could put in your room to make your room smell nice. And I saw it, loved it, and said, no, don't throw it out. I want it. I want to use it in my journals. So here is a piece of that. It's mounted onto some pastel paper. This sheet was also in a pack of papers. So I've just made a set of cards out of this. So you've got a card here. It's an index card, so it's got lines on the back. And then there's a couple of little tags here, and a couple of little sayings. This is a vintage image again. It comes from a very old book. And again, I've played with the colours on it to get it to tie in with the colours on this journal. It is a booklet. The inside image is a faded image that I got from Pixabay. And here is some coffee dyed paper and another little pocket and some more coffee dyed paper here. And this image was also from Pixabay, and again I've played with the colours on it. This was a digital image. The link to the owner of this page is down below. This page isn't A4, so I actually put it onto an A4 sized paper, which is why it's got a pink edge around it. Otherwise, it's just this paper that comes as in the digital kit. On this page, this paper, it's actually very heavyweight paper. It's embossed, and I think it's meant to be wedding paper, but it looks really nice in here. And then I backed it with a piece of parchment paper because this embossing goes right the way through, and you couldn't write on the other side of it. So I've backed it with some parchment paper so that it can be written on. Then I've used a vintage image as a flip up. This is a vellum. It does have a digital print on it, links below. And this is a coffee dyed page, a little bit of stenciling on a scrap of coffee dyed paper. And then I've just made a couple of tags that slot in there nicely, and the rest of the page can be written on. Page for writing, another digital print from Pixabay. I've made a pocket, and then there's just a little butterfly die cut and a card that I made, and that's another vintage image. It is a pocket, and in the pocket there is a card. This is an example of a boiled book. That's actually a gum leaf. So when I do these boiled books, sometimes I will pick up leaf litter and use that. And the reason I use leaf litter is A, because I don't want to pull leaves off of trees, and B, fresh gum leaves don't print out very well. So once they've gone brown and leather-like, and the tannins have developed in them, you get a much better print from them. And then I just return the leaf litter once I've used it to wherever, if I've used it from well, I use it from my garden. I just return it to the garden underneath the from the tree from where it fell. This is just a plain paper that was in a pack of papers. Thread here, move that thread. This was a commercial page, and then this was from Pixabay as well. I've mounted it onto some coffee dyed cardboard. This is a print that I made myself from vintage postcards, and then it's just got some sayings down the bottom. And onion skin dyed paper again. I've used a doily here, and then I've used, this is a pearlized paper, but I folded it into three, made it like a pocket that goes on this side, and it's also on the other side of the doily as well. And the doily is the center part of the signature. So in the pocket, there are a couple of little tags. I'll take the other one out. That is, I think that one is not onion dyed. I think that one is a boiled book piece that has been mounted onto cardboard, and that's just a little piece of leftover commercial scrapbooking paper. These two flip up. It's a boiled book page underneath, and these two are vintage images. The other pocket, matching pocket, again, is a card mounted onto coffee dyed cardboard, and then double mounted. Actually, it's got a piece of embossed cardboard between the picture and the back. And this is another vintage postcard image. Onion skin dyed paper. A belly band on a pocket. The pocket is a Pixabay image, a vintage postcard print, and a card. Again, that's that Pixabay faded image on the back, and then on the front, that's a page that I made using a vintage postcard and some other pieces of vintage ephemera as overlays. This is also a pocket. So in the pocket there is another card, again with a faded generic background on it, and then this card, put it the right way up, this is a vintage postcard that I've printed out. Coffee dyed paper. This is a tuck spot. This is a page from that same book, Innes of My Soul, by Isabel Allende, and this was the first page. So it just starts off there. It tells you it starts in Europe, 1500 to 1537. It does actually start in Spain, and then Innes does move across to South America in search of her husband. I have made a tag from a vintage postcard, some coffee dyed paper that I've just tucked up in there. This is the other side of the vellum. Again, it was a digital print, link below. This is a vintage postcard. I think it was a vintage postcard. It's a vintage image of some sort, and I'm pretty sure it's a postcard. So I fussy cut it to make a pocket, and then I just made a little envelope. It's one of those ones that folds out and you can write inside. And then I've found another vintage, this was vintage advertising, and I fussy cut that envelope as the closure, and then I've just put another vintage advertising image on the front, and that just tucks behind the teacup. And that's the end of the signature with the remains of that embossed paper. This paper, I love it. It comes from Pixabay. It's a digital print. It's made into a pocket with some coffee dyed paper, so there's quite a lot of paper, quite a large piece of paper there. Let's tuck that back in. I've added a little heart so it's easier to grab it and pull it out. This is a digital print, links below. This is a piece of paper from a pack. This is, again, more Pixabay paper, and it does open out. It's got one of my generic prints on the back, and this is a printout from an old, a vintage piece of advertisement. I know what this is. This is Arty Maze. This is a digital print, links below. This is a piece of watercolor paper. It's quite thick. It might even be cardboard, actually. I think this is cardboard. This might be a linen type cardboard. And it's got a piece of paper. It feels like it might have been one of my boiled books, just as an edge. Now this has got quite a bit to it, so you open it up, it's got a little page there to write on, another fold out there to write on, and another fold out with quite a bit of writing space. So that just folds back up, and then just tucks in like that. This was a page from the same book as the bird, actually, further on, and there were quite a few pages that were the same, just different colour schemes. So I've used some of those papers to create a tag. It's an organza ribbon there. This undoes, it's a little booklet with some coffee dyed paper in it. Do that back up. It's got a little closure. That is rosemary dyed paper, and of course this is another one of Astrid's printouts, and there's vintage seam binding here that's been coffee dyed. That seam binding is cotton and it's more than 50 years old. This is more of the poppy paper. Made a pocket. I've made a booklet. It's tied together with ribbon, and then it's got another little pocket there with some coffee dyed paper. And the paper inside this is tinted copy paper. More coffee dyed paper. This backing paper here that makes the pocket is from a pack that I had. This is from Arty Maze. It's a freebie from Arty Maze. So I've just printed it out, put a generic print on the back of it. Good thing about the generic prints is you can just print it over the back of a page. You don't have to worry about whether your page that you're printing is upside down or not. It's just great. These images are every which way. And I just print over the whole of the back of it. So if I'm printing out cardboard that has got postcards or it's got tags on it, it's not a plain back. And I just like the fact that these backs are not plain, but they're pale enough to write on. And that just goes down in there. And there was a fussy cut with that page from Arty Maze, which I've cut out and glued on there. And it's layered onto coffee dyed paper. And you have a plain piece of coffee dyed paper here. This is a belly band, and I've got scraps of paper going across. Some of it is my boiled, these three are boiled book pages. These two are scraps from other, or these three I should say, are scraps from other sheets of paper that I had. This is another fold up envelope, and the closure's a die cut butterfly. So it's plain, can be written on. Oh, come here, put you back under the feelers. And then it's got a vintage image that I printed out onto the front. Again, that was another postcard image. Some embroidered organza ribbon on the edge. This was another one of those pages from that multi-page pack that I got. And again, this came in a variety of colours. I've just used this colour in here. Another Arty Maze, Astrid's postcard. I think it's from her Faded Florals. And I've made a card from a journaling card to match. Sorry, an index card to match. That's organza ribbon there. This is coffee dyed paper. And this is a little open out booklet that I created. This paper comes out completely, so you can take it out and write on it, put it back in. There's a covered paper clip here, and there's a couple of little pockets on either side to store things, and then that just does up with this silver cord. and I've edged it with some of that embroidered organza ribbon. Now you have to cover both sides because this organza ribbon doesn't have a very nice footer side on it. So I don't like just sticking it on. I like to put it between pages. This also is, this is the paper clip for the little page inside. On this side I have some pinkish coloured paper, and then that's a vintage image that I've again got the generic back on, and I printed it out, and this is one of my papers that I have created from a vintage image with a generic background on it as well. Made a little flower here from leftover paper. There's a sheet of coffee dyed paper here. I've just decorated up a little bit, and then there's a sheet of rough cardboard here. I really like these. I had some brown of this as well. It's heavy duty, it takes a lot of sticking down, but they are really nice and they're sturdy. And then that's just a bit of broderie anglaise lace there. This is from Pixabay, this image. Some more of that embroidered organza ribbon. Inside, it's made into a pocket. Inside the pocket there's a tag and a card made out of an index card that has been covered on the other side. And this is embroidered net lace, machine embroidered lace. I didn't embroider it, it's commercial. Again, another page from that book, that set of pages that had all those beautiful images in them, and I've created just an interesting page the other side of this pocket, and then there's a pocket here. This was paper that I dyed using raspberries, expecting it to come out pink, and it's actually come out blue, or mauvey blue. Very pretty. And I just trimmed the edge with the Martha Stewart edge cutter. Some more of that paper, scraps of the paper that I have then adhered to card. This one's got a little row of mini pearls on it. This one's got the organza lace, so you could use this as a little tuck here. It's an index card, so it's lined on the back. The other side of the Arty Maze paper. A double flip out here. This is another paper that I made using my using vintage postcard images, and I've just got some copy paper there. It opens out into a three-way flip out, or two-way flip out, however you like to look at it. Another digital paper, links below. This has been made into a pocket. This is another one of Astrid's papers. Some more of my raspberry paper. This one turned out slightly more mauvey. That was a generic grunge image from Pixabay that I've played around with the colour with. I think it was brown and I've made it slightly purpley colour. And then this is a strip of paper. This was from a digital print, but I've only got a little slice there. The link is below. From where I got that paper, and I will probably use that paper in another journal. I've got it stashed away. I rather liked that paper. The back of the rose paper from Pixabay, and again this is an image from Pixabay that I've played around with the colours on. So that is this journal. As I said, all the relevant links are in the box below. If you really want this journal, then please do contact me, and the links are below.